It's Patrick Hutzel from IntensiveCareHotline.com. In this short video, I want to show to you an ebook and 2 video and audio recordings that I've made just for you if your loved one is in intensive care with a severe head or brain injury or a traumatic brain injury or a stroke. The title of the ebook is The 10 Things You Didn't Know About Severe Head or Brain Injuries, including traumatic brain injury and stroke in intensive care, that you must know, especially if your critically ill loved one is not waking up, or if the intensive care team is suggesting a poor prognosis, or even worse, if the intensive care team suggests a withdrawal of treatment or a limitation of treatment. It's an ebook that I wrote that comes with 2 videos and audio recordings. And the ebook, the 2 videos and the 2 audio recordings are an absolute must for you if you want to have leverage, peace of mind, control, power and influence when it comes to severe head or brain injuries, including traumatic brain injuries and stroke. In this ebook that comes with 2 videos and 2 audio recordings, you will discover everything you need to know, especially if your critically ill loved one isn't waking up, or what often happens if the intensive care team is painting a doom and gloom picture, or if they are overtly negative, or even worse, if they are suggesting a withdrawal of treatment or a limitation of treatment as being quote unquote in the best interest of your critically ill loved one. I know if your loved one is critically ill in intensive care with a severe head or brain injury or a traumatic brain injury or a stroke, your worst nightmares have become a reality. I know that you feel extremely stressed, vulnerable, and you often don't know what the next few hours or days bring. I know that you and your family may have sleepless nights when your loved one is critically ill with a severe head or brain injury or a traumatic brain injury or a stroke. You and your family know by now that you are facing a once-in-a-lifetime challenge and an almost impossible situation that you really can't afford to get wrong. By now, you and your family also know that the intensive care team has the upper hand, or so you think. They also have most likely positioned your critically ill loved one's diagnosis and prognosis in a negative light, and they have most likely painted a doom and gloom picture. You and your family also know by now that if you and your family don't want to wind up like 99% of the families of critically ill patients in intensive care, who have no peace of mind, no control, no power and no influence, you know that you need to get your hands on this critical, crucial and must-have insider knowledge. I can show you solid and proven strategies because I understand intensive care as well as head and brain injuries inside out. If your loved one is critically ill in intensive care with a head or brain injury or a traumatic brain injury or a stroke, it's a very challenging situation. And when you are communicating with the intensive care team, you need to know what you're talking about, because otherwise you don't stand a chance. Especially with intensive care teams being overtly negative when it comes to head, brain injuries and strokes, you need to have proven strategies so that you can get what you want. The fact of the matter is that intensive care teams are so shrewd and adept to quote unquote sell you and your family what might be in the best interest of your critically ill loved one, without you and your family knowing and understanding what's happening behind the scenes in intensive care. But you really need to understand what's happening behind the scenes in intensive care when it comes to severe head or brain injuries, including traumatic brain injuries and stroke. And you must know what to do, what to say, what not to say. You need to get real-world examples in my ebook, videos and audio recordings, because the intensive care team is so used to be walking all over families, especially when it comes to severe head or brain injuries, including traumatic brain injuries and stroke. Because they are so used to that families of critically ill patients in intensive care are intimidated by the perceived power and the perceived authority of the intensive care team. And the intensive care team continuously drives their own, mainly hidden agenda that you don't know anything about unless you get crucial insider knowledge in this ebook, 2 videos and 2 audio recordings. In the ebook, the 10 things you didn't know about severe head or brain injuries, including traumatic brain injuries and stroke in intensive care, that you must know, especially if your critically ill loved one is not waking up, or if the intensive care team is suggesting a poor prognosis, or even worse, if the intensive care team suggests a withdrawal of treatment or a limitation of treatment. That comes with 1 ebook, 2 videos and 2 audio recordings. You will discover how to position yourself powerfully and position yourself well mentally, irrespective of the challenges you, your family and your critically ill loved one are facing. What you need to do if the intensive care team suggests a withdrawal of treatment or a limitation of treatment as being quote unquote in the best interest of your critically ill loved one. What you need to know about quality of life and the perception the intensive care team has about quality of life as well as future quality of life. I will show you why you and your family need to have your own definition and your own reality about quality of life and future quality of life, irrespective of the intensive care team's point of view and their often and mainly hidden agenda. I will show you how you can change the perception that the intensive care team has about you and your family, so that the intensive care team perceives you as different from the 99% of families in intensive care who have no peace of mind, no control, no power and no influence. I will show you how long it'll take for your critically ill loved one to wake up after a severe head or brain injury, including traumatic brain injury and stroke. I will show you what the elephant in the room is that the intensive care team will never mention to you, but is ultimately shaping the positioning of your critically ill loved one's diagnosis and prognosis by the intensive care team. I will show you what you and your family need to know about the competition between medical teams when it comes to severe head and brain injuries, including traumatic brain injuries and stroke, and how you can use it to your advantage. Most families in intensive care have no idea how to make use of competing interests between medical teams. I will show you how the culture in an intensive care unit dictates how the intensive care team positions your critically ill loved one's diagnosis and prognosis, and how you can find out whether you are dealing with a positive or a negative culture. Why care and treatment the intensive care team offers to your critically ill loved one goes way beyond your critically ill loved one's diagnosis and prognosis, and you will discover the ultimate determinant what treatment and care is offered or not offered to your critically ill loved one by the intensive care team. I will show you what the intensive care team really means when they say that a withdrawal of treatment or a limitation is quote unquote in the best interest of your critically ill loved one. I will show you why your attitude, your outlook on life, your level of peace of mind, control, power and influence is the most important ingredient for you and your family to have leverage. I will show you why a lot of the things the intensive care team is telling you is based on guesswork and not on real science. And I will give you, as always, real-world examples that you can easily adapt to your and your critically ill loved one's situation. And most importantly, you will discover how you and your critically ill loved one, how you and your family will stay in control of your critically ill loved one's fate and destiny. Well, by now you know that the trouble is that most families of critically ill patients in intensive care, especially when it comes to severe head and brain injuries, including traumatic brain injuries and stroke, have no peace of mind, no control, no power and no influence, because they are not or ill prepared to deal with this massive once-in-a-lifetime challenge and with this massive impossible situation. The 10 things you didn't know about severe head or brain injuries, including traumatic brain injuries and stroke, in intensive care that you must know, especially if your critically ill loved one isn't waking up, or if the intensive care team is suggesting a poor prognosis, or even worse, if the intensive care team suggests a withdrawal of treatment or a limitation of treatment. That comes with 1 ebook, 2 videos and audio recordings, is something you must know if you want to start your journey in intensive care on the right foot. It's also another stepping stone to deal with the intensive care team effectively, and it helps you to manage the intensive care team, who's normally used to have all the power when dealing with families of critically ill patients in intensive care. So, why should you trust me? I can tell you I have worked in intensive care for more than 15 years in 3 different countries, and I have literally worked with thousands of critically ill patients and their families in intensive care. I think I have seen it all. I have seen many brain and head injuries, and I have worked with those patients and their families intimately. I have consulted, and I'm constantly consulting, families in intensive care over the phone or over Skype who have a loved one critically ill in intensive care with head and brain injuries. I have also worked in intensive care as a nurse unit manager for 5 years, so I have the insider knowledge not only from the bedside point of view, I also have the insider knowledge from what's happening behind the scenes in intensive care. And if you purchase this ebook, the 2 videos and the 2 audio recordings, you will get insider knowledge and leverage when you're dealing with the doctors and the intensive care team. And I can assure you that you and your family will be treated differently because if the intensive care team realizes that you speak the secret intensive care language, which they don't expect you to speak, but if you do speak the secret intensive care language, it'll ultimately give you leverage, peace of mind, control, power and influence. Now, by now, as I mentioned before, you know that you are in an impossible situation. And I want to give you or read out to you this quick quote from Anthony Greenback from the Book of Survival. Anthony Greenback says in this book, "To live through an impossible situation, you don't need to have the reflexes of a Grand Prix driver, the muscles of a Hercules, the mind of an Einstein. You simply need to know what to do." And by now, you and your family know that you are in an impossible situation. If your loved one is critically ill in intensive care with a severe head or brain injury, including traumatic brain injury and stroke, you really do need to know what to do, and the ebook, the 2 videos and the 2 audio recordings will give you the crucial and must-have insider knowledge that you have been waiting for. Whether you like to read, to watch or to listen to the information, it's all available in your chosen format. And the value of the ebook, the 2 videos and the 2 audio recordings are at least in excess of $1,000, and here you can purchase it for $27. and I take the risk. I'll give you a 7-day money-back guarantee. Yes, a 7-day money-back guarantee. So you can basically purchase this book that comes with 2 videos and 2 audio recordings at my risk. If you don't like it, just send me an email and I'll return you your money back. No questions asked, no hassle. So, if you have any questions, you can always send me an email to support@intensivecare-hotline.com, or you can ring me. Check out our contact tab where you can find my phone numbers. So, go down to the buy button now and buy this ebook that comes with 2 videos and 2 audio recordings. And I'll see you on the inside. Take care.